The Absolute Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Absolute Podcast. I'm your host Jasmine Templin and we have our coach Sean here. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Back again.
Back again. Yes, after just filming. We just recorded a contest prep episode. So if you are a competitor or do want to compete, definitely go have a listen to that episode as we just chatted all about contest prep and kind of like the more extreme side of fitness. That's, you know, we coach both contest prep and lifestyle clients. So today's episode, we're just going to be talking a little bit about balance within your fitness journey, enjoying the journey, making that progress without competing, because some people, we have inquiries that come through and they say, I'm wanting to get in shape, but I'm not wanting to compete. So we want to talk a little bit about that, enjoying the journey, being able to enjoy meals out, because you can have it all, you can have a balance and you can still look amazing, and you don't have to go to this really hard extreme version of what bodybuilding is to get in good shape. So is there anything in particular you want to start off talking about? Like, what are you currently doing? And because we're not in contest prep in the moment, like it's been a couple of years since we've competed. So let's chat a little bit around like what we're doing.
Yeah, because I suppose a lot of people do just hear a lot about what we do, like inside contest prep or like around it and that sort of thing, and maybe not as much like outside of that. And like for myself, it's like I look at things, it's like, okay, well, what do I enjoy doing? And I always put those things first, and then I surround my fitness, like, well, I suppose my just fitness journey around those things, even if they're fitness related or not. So same approach to my clients as well too when they come in. It's like, you know, what do you like? You know, what, like in terms of foods and that sort of thing, what hobbies do you have? And you know, like how can we fit this within our journey? Because a lot of people come to me and they go like, you know, I'm ready for this new journey. I want to get like, you know, I want to get jacked, or I want to, you know, grow a booty, or I want to just cut down or whatever. And, you know, they're willing to like do whatever they can to get there, cut everything. I'm just like, but do you enjoy doing that? Like, do you enjoy having that? And
Is that what you really want?
Yeah. Like I was like, can you see yourself like taking these things out for the next 20 years or so, or 30 years or whatever, you know, and really like, you know, still enjoying life to your full potential, right? And if they go, oh, well, you know, maybe not, they might start to reconsider. They're like, okay, well, we need to take a different approach to this. So I put a big focus towards just making sure that like you're getting the most out of your life, and still, you know, taking that healthy approach and that sort of like more fitness orientated, healthy approach, I guess. And that's where like I'm at now personally. You know, I feel like I'm trying to make sure that, you know, I'm still obviously gaining muscle because I do want to compete again one day. I'm focusing towards that, but a lot of it I'm also focusing towards like, you know, am I feeling as good as I can? Am I as fit as possible? Am I as healthy as possible? You know, and all those sorts of things while still enjoying life for what it is, you know?
Yep.
Way too many people, and obviously you get it too, like literally like would get so annoyed at themselves for like, you know, going slightly off track, or they feel like it's just 0 to 100, you know, they're either binging or they're either, you know, super strict to a T. It's like I wouldn't say you need to find that middle ground, but you definitely want to be obviously closer to being stricter, I guess, but you need to give yourself that leniency at the same time.
Yep.
That approach, like the 0 to 100 approach, it's like if you're just trying to be 100 all the time, it's like you're gonna hit 0 so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, where if you're taking approach to just like your overall sort of like fitness in terms of just going, okay, like I want to get stronger. I want to enjoy my training. I want to enjoy the foods I'm eating. I want to feel good. I want to look good. You know, all those sorts of things, and take a slightly more relaxed approach to it while still following the protocol set to you by your coach, then it's going to be a lot more enjoyable process.
Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, it's all going to be needle moving activities that we're doing, even if it's not 100% perfect with our clients all the time. Like we don't expect that from our clients. So, you know, we can still see a lot of progress, even if it isn't 100%. Yes, in a perfect world, if you're 100%, great, provided that you enjoy it. But it's no point if you're not enjoying it and you get to a point where you're just wanting to binge or just crash out because you can't stick to it, and then you just kind of resent it in the first place. Like that's so the opposite in terms of what we preach. It's so important to, yes, we want to be as adherent as we can, and we want to keep our clients accountable to that, but it can't come at a cost of us of the client burning out because they're not enjoying it, or the client's getting upset at themselves because they had a meal off track. And, it's our job, and what we do as a coach is we show them that, okay, you had this meal out, this is how we can go about it, and this is how we can track for it. We can plan in advance together. This is how we would track for it. And it's always better to overestimate than underestimate, or there's just so many approaches that we can take so the client can still enjoy that balance, and it doesn't have to be that all or nothing approach that some people think. Like, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm working with the coach, it's going to be really hard. Or, if a friend hears you say that you're working with a coach and that you're going on a diet, they think, oh, you're going to be starving. That's really hard work. It's like, actually, no, it's really enjoyable. I hit some awesome sessions. I'm getting stronger every week. I have more energy in my day-to-day life. My partner's happier because I'm happier. I feel more confident in myself. I'm eating healthier. The kids are looking at me as a role model. And I think that's a really, a lot of people have that misrepresentation of, oh, I'm starting a diet or I'm working with a coach, it's going to be this really hard thing. And from the outside lens and what we've been told years and years ago, like, a lot of people think that that's the case still, but it's not. It's actually can be so enjoyable, and the clients will build so much confidence along the way as well, which I think is the best feeling as a coach, to be on that journey with our clients and to watch them be able to transform physically and mentally as well. And then everyone else in their lives to be able to improve that as well is amazing.
It depends on what it depends on what you class as 100%, right? So 100% to 100% in contest prep is different to 100% in terms of lifestyle, right? So I would very well say that 100% in terms of or 100% adherence, or the best adherence possible through a lifestyle client is did you hit around your calorie targets that were set and around your protein goals? Awesome. Did you reach your step targets? Cool. Did you do your training and your stretching and mobility work for the week? Did you get enough sleep and that sort of thing? And if someone comes in and they've done all that, I'm like, that's all we're asking of you. That's awesome. And that's enough of information for me to work off to, I suppose make changes to still obviously really reach your physique goals and your fitness goals as well. It's you would notice it too. So some clients, we ask all of our clients, how much effort do you feel like you put into
I was about to say that as well. It's relative.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's relative, right? Because I have some clients that they're 7 out of 10, which the other some clients 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 100%.
But
literally exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, so for example, someone would come to me and go oh, I hit 7 out of 7 days in terms of my nutrition targets. I got enough sleep. I trained, but they went out to reach those nutrition targets, or they didn't feel like some of those gym sessions were 100% because they were quite tired just because of work. So they give themselves a 7 out of 10. I'm like, but you still got in and you tried some sort of progressive overload training. You still hit nutrition targets to the best of your ability while still going out and enjoying yourself. Work was really the only thing that affected your performance in the gym. I'm like, hey, that's a 10 out of 10. You gave that effort. There was just a few things that what might have been slightly, sort of slightly off, maybe because you still have to guesstimate a bit because you went out, or you couldn't put 100% into your training. But I'm like, that's still a 10 out of 10 for me in terms of effort. You've given everything that you possibly could while still living your life. Yeah,
100%. And you learn your clients' effort rating as well.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
In terms of everyone has their set numbers, and I know when we're in contest prep, we'll never give ourselves a 10 out of 10, even if we're literally dying of hard work and we've killed every single protocol you could imagine and did there's even more. We're like, no, there's always room for improvement, which is a good mindset to have. But also, if you're a lifestyle client, you should not have that approach. No. In a lifestyle, if you're doing all those things, you got a 10 out of 10. That's perfect. It's more than enough than what we can ask for you. And when we ask our clients to do our best, it's not the very best that they can do to the point that they're of exhaustion. It's to the best of their ability that it allows them with their lifestyle factors and their kids and their situation. And something as well that is also good just in terms of in talking of things being relative and to be able to compare like that, because it is also good to be able to challenge ourselves, is when it comes to training. Something I've been saying to my clients just even this past week, for example, is if you're getting to the point where you're finding yourself a little bit stagnant with weights, try and get a training partner, which I'm such a big solo trainer. I know you are too. We love training hard and having our headphones on, and that's our time. But if you've never had experience of training with someone before in person who's also on your level or above, I always recommend that, because how do you know if what you're training is hard? Because that's relative. You might think that you're training hard, and then there's another 10 levels above that. So always having that mindset of rinse and repeat. So it's good to test your limits, but it's definitely doesn't need to be 100% all the time, but definitely it's worth like getting a training partner or, you know, get a PT and push you physically.
Yeah, you get some great tips from that, like even just stuff that you might know, or just like different ways of doing things. Like even for me, training wise these days, it's like a lot, like it's funny if you watch me train these days, like I train with my eyes shut a lot of the time, and I'm more like feeling the movement, right, and how I do it, and that might be completely different to how someone else does it. So they come train with me, it's like, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to do a cable row like this? I'm like, not necessarily. No, like I'm doing it to how I feel, you know. And if you have a training partner, you've never trained with anyone before, you're going to get those like little tips that you might have never had. That even if you have a coach, you know, like those sort of things. Like it's just handy to have like little things that, you know, you can feed back off each other and push each other. Friendly competition helps out a lot too.
Yeah.
Like do you know what's funny? Like I like probably training solo now is because I grew up with that. Like I didn't think I ever trained by myself ever when I was growing up, because back in the day me and my mates used to literally like go to school, get on the bus, you just go straight to the gym, have like 2.5 hour sessions, every bit of equipment in the gym. And it's funny when I look back on it now because I hate the young people that do that. But that's exactly what we used to do. But it was a fun environment. Like
I'm kind of the opposite now. I'm so used to solo now. All of a sudden, I'm getting to like train with others,
the other way,
which I've like always been so against. I'm like, oh, like you're literally the only person who I actually like to train with in the past. And we've had amazing sessions together. It's actually so funny. My memories on Instagram, it was like yesterday. It was like 6 or 8 years ago, and it was like us just training like chest. So random.
Like at any time as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off before, but yeah, I'm kind of in the opposite now. I've trained solo my whole life, and now all of a sudden I'm like, but I'm not just like, I can't do like social sessions, like don't talk to me. I'm gonna have the best session of my life if we're training together. I'm gonna make them work. And it's like I think, see, I just love being a coach with a passion, because I just like to be the boss. Like if I'm training with someone, all right, this is what we're doing, let's go, we're gonna superset, and they're like struggling. I'm like, why am I thriving off this? I love seeing them struggle and like making you know, myself struggle as well, you know.
I train with a mate or something, and like you're doing all your typical PT stuff you would do, and like, you know, you count their reps and you're like,
really, 100%,
you know? And it's just, you treat them just like you would any other client when you've got at the time, hey. But yeah, you like you need to be like enjoying your training, and you need to find that way, whether it's be solo, whether it be with people as well too. It's like you need to find that enjoyment and that love for it. And I still probably have a few people that still like sort of just train to like you know, to move or to burn body fat and stuff like that. And I'm like, you need to try and attempt to take a different approach, because if you're only just focusing purely on you know, training to lose body fat, then it's not something that's long term, because we're not always going to be losing body fat, right? And as soon as you come in, you would have experienced it as well. And then as soon as clients come out of that phase and they've still got that mindset, it's like, what am I training for? You know, it's like it just stops, right? I'm like, say to everyone, say, you're in the gym to get strong. You know, you're in the gym to add on muscle, and toning up is still adding on muscle. You know, like yes, anyone that says they want to tone up as such, it's like that's still your focus. You know, just because you're toning up doesn't mean you just have to lose body fat and your muscle is going to show eventually. Like that's not how it works, right? So yeah, we always have to take that approach to training. It's like, I'm really trying to encourage everyone, in like all my clients. It's like, you know, we need to find some form of progression in training, whether it's, you know, slightly increased in weights, this progressive overload, obviously, slightly increased in weights or volume or anything, or even if it was like time and detention or even like you're stretching and mobility. It's like trying to, that's what I'm doing at the moment with my shoulders. I'm really trying to make sure that I'm as mobile as possible through my shoulders at the moment. And that's also then led to every other muscle group too. It's like, well, I don't want to get
in. Join you on the shoulder mobility.
Literally. Oh God, I've been doing it so long now. Like, and then that makes you think like, okay, well, I don't want any other injuries to occur. So you put a lot of focus towards that everywhere else as well too, you know. So yeah, it's really all about the training side of things in particular is really all about enjoyment. But in saying that, it's not. It's the nutrition as well. You know, nutrition is exactly the same thing. You know, you need to be enjoying it. Like food is like is fun. It's like it's fun to like sort of like, you know, go out for foods or to like make your own foods that you like. It's like it shouldn't just be again, this is so cliche, but it just shouldn't be the old chicken and rice and rice cakes and all that sort of thing, right? Just to sort of hit your targets. That's where I find a lot of people who are like in their who were born in like the sort of like the 80s, where I still work with those sort of like you know, even the 40-year-old
100%.
clients and stuff like that. They went through the whole the Weight Watchers and all the fad diets and stuff like that. They went through all that, so they were like, they have it ingrained in their head that it's like, I need to restrict myself. And it's I still work with a lot of people around that age, and we're trying to just like sort of get out of that. And I'm glad that this day and age it's a lot different, but there's still a lot of people with that mindset.
There is, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely that line, and I think it's good though. I think there's so much beauty in that balance. Once again, we come from that like almost extreme approach of bodybuilding. I just think there is so much beauty in seeing a client, or you know, even if it's a contest prep client or ourselves, you know, in our off season, but seeing a client who is just being able to have it all and have that balance and being able to ultimately eat whatever they want. You know, they go through that reverse diet phase, they go through their cutting process, and still be able to have meals out, and like their physique just changes so much, which is incredible. And it's just proof that you don't have to do a show to look good either, because ultimately that's just like such a band-aid thing. I think if you really put those good habits in place, like that's going to be what sticks for life as well, and your metabolism is going to be so much better for it, especially going through those reverse dieting phases from a dieting point where you don't feel like you want to binge or anything like that. I think that's a really good point to be in. I think a lot more people are coming around to like the idea of like balance a little bit more these days, which is good. I think more people should incorporate a more balanced lifestyle. But once again, fine line for everything. Yeah,
there is. Yeah, you're starting to see a lot more coaches take a similar approach these days, which is good. So a lot more impact, but there's still, I find that a lot of the information, that the sole restrictive information, comes from people, you know, these essentially a lot of the fad diets and that sort of thing, right? Where a lot of fad diets do incorporate restrictions, but that stuff sells, and that's why there's still a lot of trainers do it, which is unfortunate. It is, you know, if I was to tell someone that like you have to buy these products and restrict from everything else, it's like they're constantly giving me money, you know, constantly all the time,
especially because it doesn't work. So it might work for that short time, and then they go binge and put the weight back on, and then they come back. It's like, it's like so opposite in terms of like our morals and everything that we do. But yeah, you see why other people do it, because it does sell, and it's not right. But that's the fitness industry, unfortunately, and people don't know any better, and that's what's on the TVs with the marketing and the shake diets and all of this BS.
That's why it's like Weight Watchers was a big thing because of that. Like I always bring that up because it's like it had some actually good points to it. If you go back to it and sort of see exactly what they were trying to do, like you sort of like can slightly understand it, but it actually ended up being like almost the opposite in terms of just like really restricting everybody from certain things. It's like because there was too many things that classified as like bad, and just like, you know, I can't have that, where it wasn't necessarily that. It was just like, hey, look, doing what we're saying, just probably limit these things. But it didn't end up being like that. It ended up being something that's like, no, do not have that at all, and only have these things. And then people would only find success while they were doing Weight Watchers, and then nothing without it. They would just go back to where they were. So they always came back to it because they're like, that's what they related it to. It's like, I was successful when I was doing this. You know, but like,
it's not success if you don't sustain it, and you don't have those good habits, and you don't know how to reverse diet out of it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why obviously reverse dieting for a lot of people who have been in that mindset for such a long period of time or been doing those protocols for such a long period of time is so important. You know, to understand it's like, no, you can eat a lot more food than what you think and maintain your current physique or still lose body fat. You know, and I really enjoy a lot of those working with a lot of those clients. Like when you get into a point
it is amazing.
When they're just like, oh my God, I'm like actually able to go out with my family and eat these foods out and like actually eat pasta and eat rice and be able to you know, enjoy my food and still make progress. It's really rewarding. It's one of the, I suppose, the transformations that I like the most is
100%.
Sort of thing.
Me too. I actually have goosebumps thinking about it. But yeah, you get it all the time. Like it's the exact words, and I know I've seen it from your clients as well, and they say, this is the most I've ever been able to eat, and I'm the leanest and best I've ever looked. Oh, that is just the best thing ever. And they're just so happy, and I'm so happy, you know, that is the best. Yeah.
And then then they develop all the information, the knowledge that we've taught them, and then all of a sudden they can start to implement it themselves, and they're just using us sort of more so to keep them accountable,
Yeah.
and that's what I want to be as a coach. Is I want to be there to, like, because it is hard doing your own stuff. Like at the moment, me and you are basically doing that right now, right? Like we check in with each other here and there, but it's more so like, a lot of it is still, control yourself, and it can be hard in situations like that, because that's why we all of a sudden go, okay, we probably need to be a bit more stricter again, because I'm starting to lose track of things.
Yeah.
And that's why I started anyone that's following me on socials, the limited times that I post, I I've been doing the habits challenge. It's just incorporating the daily habits that you would do all the time. If someone, like in contest prep, for example, right, you would just do it non-negotiable. You would just do it. But I'm incorporating into an extent where I just need to bring that back into my life, because it was lost a little bit through like my shoulder injuries. It's like, the approach, the mindset, which is the wrong mindset to have, by the way, the mindset of like, oh, I'm not going to train as much because I can't push myself to 100%, or I'm now not going to focus as much on nutrition because I can't train as hard. And then, oh, well, I'm not training as hard now, or dieting as hard, so I don't have to sleep as much. And that, there's just that happens though. And even as knowledgeable as we are, sometimes you can sort of like lose track of that a little bit, and take someone sometimes to pull you back in and just go like, no, what are you doing? Let's get back to that. And that's what I'm doing, is incorporating these habits, just almost like remind myself to go like, hey, look, like you need to be focusing on like your cardio and your steps to make sure that you are as fit as you possibly can, and you're living a long and healthy life. Making sure just overall health in general there is up to par. Making sure that you're still training on areas where like you're not injured, and focus on your rehab, so you can still maintain that strength and that muscle mass that you've got, that you want to have and want to build, and eating as well as you can. Again, the same thing with the steps and cardio to live a long and healthy life. If those things can start to slip just because we can't do one thing, you're going to end up with problems in the future. Whether it be like injuries and just other issues that will pop up as you start to get older. It's incorporating things that I can still do, all the things that I love. I won't rattle them all off, but like, just like my hobbies and the foods I like eating and hanging out with friends. I still put all those things like as an absolute priority. And these habits aren't something that are unachievable. It's just ticking the boxes every day. It's like getting my steps in, achievable amount of steps, by the way, not something that I'm going to be flogging myself every day outside of work doing it. Water intake as well too. Just, am I getting close to my nutrition targets, and am I training, and am I enjoying my training? And then like recovery, like sleep and that sort of thing as well too, and if I'm doing those things, then minimalistic things that, everyone can be doing. It's just, it makes everything so much easier just having those things to tick off, and satisfying as well, right?
Yeah, so satisfying.
Yeah.
And it can complement your life in other areas. And as you said, you do these things and they help your hobbies and that you also like to do, and your friendships as well. So it never takes away. That's the thing as well with contest prep. It can take away from those things. You can't do your sports, as we chatted about. You're limited with your date nights. You're not really eating any kind of meals out at all. With lifestyle clients and coaching to just look good for life, it complements everything. For me, like, I love being active and being with friends and walking my dog and doing pole dancing. And for me, like, my weight training complements every single thing else that I like to do. Yes, looking good is extremely high priority, more than anything else in life, because I'm vain like that. And like, that's just always been a value of mine. But that doesn't mean it comes at a cost of my pole being awful, because I am not eating enough. Like, if anything, I have to eat more so I can fuel that. It's not like I'm not eating a big meal. Like, I'm going to go eat a big meal, I'm going to the gym, and then I have to probably eat again so I can pole again. So same, for catching up with friends, it's like, you can still go out to eat at restaurants and incorporate that balance and choosing good options. But because we've got that nutritional knowledge and that awareness around food, we're walking MyFitnessPal calculations, we can just go in and choose, and it's easy enough. One question that one of our clients left us is, do we get asked often by like strangers things about like nutrition? Are we always getting asked that, just with our career being PTs and nutritionists?
You'd probably get this a lot too. It's like you know, when you're around like, you know, friends and that sort of thing, and they'll go like, and let's just say you're out at a party or whatever, and you're having some like cake or pizza, or you're having a drink, and they'll just so like, and they'll be like, oh, can you have that? Like, and I'm just like, what's the difference of me having it compared to you? Like you know, it's just because like I think in that's what I took from that question, where it's like you get asked a lot in terms of like, just because you're a trainer, like why are you not like always eating like the most cleanest foods and everything possible? It's just like, yeah, well, most of the time I do, but I don't show everybody that. Like, I'm not sitting there always eating my, you know, always eating my like.
Not Instagramming every chicken and
yeah,
meal.
exactly, yeah, 100%. So, yeah, there's you do get like, and I get a lot of questions as well too, always, which is fine. Like, I'm always happy to answer any questions of anyone who's like wants to know more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm always open to you know, to answering those things. But yeah, you do get asked a lot. Just out and about, you know, just like things like that, and that's probably one of the biggest things. Even family too at the start, you know. Like, I remember my old man a lot, always just sort of like asking questions because he just really just had no idea.
Yeah.
And you do get a lot of people like that, and it's if people are really like generally willing to like understand, like wanting to know and understand, then like like I'm more than happy to
absolutely.
help out.
I think as well with our friend group for so many years there as well, our friend group was like just PTs and fitness, so like our conversation was only that. And then and pretty much my entire life, all my friends are still into fitness or whatnot. And then there was a situation, it wasn't even that long ago, maybe 6 months ago, I can't even remember, but I was hanging out with a group of friends, and I was for the first time in my life, I was the first person who was the only PT there. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, everyone's in completely different industries. And so like they were all shocked. I'm like, you know, cracking like a inside flexible dieting joke that like no one had no idea. I'm like, I was like, this is lame. I was like, what do we even talk about? But yeah, I love getting asked things about, especially when people like don't know and they're just genuinely curious. And then, you know, we'll just like say something along, you know, the education, which we don't even think about. And like, wow, that's so crazy. I'm like, you know, it's that reminder that you forget how much knowledge that we actually know, because we'll just be saying it in our sleep, you know, and we'll just be blabbing on. But they're like, wow, that's, you know, it's like, oh, like we haven't even touched the surface. You want to know more?
Yeah, literally, because you can. Like,
there's a lot where that came from.
Yeah, just like we're doing now. It just flows. Hey, you can just talk about it like nonstop. You know, it's just a part of what you know. But that's the same as anyone with any job. It's like, you know, you forget that, like, you know, as much as you do, and then until someone that doesn't know much asks you questions, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, no, like I forgot that people don't know that. You know? You know, but like, I don't want anyone to feel stupid when they're asking me questions. I want them to like genuinely ask me. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love that sort of stuff.
And you can give more personalized because it's, you know, asked by ourselves.
It pulls you back to reality sometimes. Hey, like, you get asked those questions because like I say, some people just genuinely just like don't know, and you forget that sometimes about these sorts of things.
Yeah, we've got such a skewed perception of what we're surrounded with, because we're, you know, in the bodybuilding industry in particular. So for us, you know, even the last podcast that we were talking about bodybuilding, we're like, okay, well, let's talk more about the intricate depths of bodybuilding that people don't discuss. It was like, most people are happy to learn about flexible dieting. So it is definitely a good reality check. Yeah,
no, it is 100%. Like, and I even like I have a wide variety of friend groups. Like, I've got my PT friends, got all my footy mates, and just got like other friends as well too. And it's funny, like, you know, how everyone takes that sort of stuff in, because your PT side of things, obviously everyone talks about it so much that you sort of like, you tend to sort of like, you know, sometimes stray away from that because that's all I talk about all day. And then, you know, your other friends are always just so interested in terms of like, you know, they're training for a certain sport or whatever, and it's just always asking you questions there, you know. So I don't know, it's all part of the job, I suppose, as well too, you know, because it's like what we do is a part of everybody's like life. It's like there's no one in the world that doesn't focus on, like, you know, keeping fit to some extent or training or whatever. So it's like you're always going to have people asking you questions, where if you're to work on a certain field, like let's just say, for example, you're a chippy or something like that. Like,
I would never ask, what do they do? Like, I genuinely...
exactly. You would go up to them and go like, oh, how do you build a house?
Yeah.
You just like,
how can I apply that for my life?
100%. So it's funny because, like, everyone will come up and ask you questions. You know? But again, like I said, it's a part of the job, and we done it for a reason, to help people and to change people's lives, you know. And I think that it always pulls you back to reality sometimes when people ask you those questions, and you just sort of like forget, you know, like, oh damn, like not everybody doesn't know this.
100%. One of the other questions that we also got asked is, how do we do our check-ins and how do we manage everything? So basically, one of our clients said, you know, it must be hard to manage all the different client protocols and different adjustments. every client's so different, as we've chatted about. How do we make a change and how do we manage working with all these different kinds of clients? So, I mean, I know for us, spreadsheets are massive. Like we use spreadsheets, like our life depends on it, and just taking notes. But I also kind of think, because I always get asked this as well, is like, how do you remember everything about all the clients? Because I feel like I didn't even need, I definitely take notes of everything, but you know, it's like you get to a point where you don't even need it because you just remember. But I always use this analogy. And think about like when you know, you're in school and it's like your first day of school and it's like, oh my God, there's like 30 kids. How the hell am I going to remember everyone's names? And then you just like, it's like a weekend, you remember. You just do. You know, same kind of thing. It's like you just do. You just know everyone, you know.
It's funny, like, because like normally when I do my check-ins, it's like it's all, most of the time it's all just one part of the day. It's not like spread throughout as much. And it's funny how you can just like be talking to someone in particular about, you know, their week, looking over their protocols. You still, like you said, you're still looking at the information and sort of seeing what everybody does for work and that sort of stuff. But you just remember it. It's funny like that. Like even though there's still so much information to process for each individual, it's like I'm able to just talk about that person with their check-in, and all of a sudden I have a break, get the sheet up for the next client, pull their profile up, and then all of a sudden you just zoned in and you just remember what exactly.
100%.
You know, it's crazy. And like there's odd things that you might take down that you forget from time to time, like a little bit here and there, but for the most part I'm pretty spot on with, you know, with 100%. All that, you know. And obviously all the information is there in regards to, like, you know, the changes in their body weight over time and the, you know, nutrition they've been on previously and all that sort of stuff. But you have to take all that information on board because it's really handy for when they go through different phases. Like you have to remember, like, you know, what someone does for work in terms of how active they are and that sort of thing as well too, and all that, you know. And you know, if they're like a shift worker, or if they you know, like have, you know, how many kids they have and everything, you just end up knowing everything about them. And it's funny how you pick that up, you pick it up so quickly. Partner struggles and you know,
so many things. And even one of my clients restarted with me. She's an old client. She got restarted recently. I was like, I didn't even need to look at your notes. I was like, I just remember how your body responds. Like I just do.
It is. It's crazy like that. Hey,
don't ask me how I do. I just remember.
Again, it's all part of the job in that way. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's pretty much how we manage it. Is just spreadsheets.
Yeah, just you have all the information on obviously the software that we use is so handy because you've got so much information on there as well too. But after that it's just all sort of spreadsheets, and I've got the you know, when we first go through the induction with everyone, you've got all the information there too, and that's what they've told you. Like my induction with every client is I sit down on the phone and just go or like, you know, via email and just go, all right, tell me about you. You know, like tell me about yourself, because the more information you can tell me, the more I can help you out. Yeah. You know, and then obviously you start to know more and more as you go on with them as well too, because they'll open up to you a little bit more as well, you know, as you go on. But and then you'll take all that information in, you have it there as well too. And it's so easy then from then on to really help them because you know so much about them.
Yeah, 100%. It makes it even easier. The longer that you work with someone, the more you can just customize the program to them because you just know them so well.
Yeah.
Moving forward as well, just talking a little bit in terms of back to having that balance with lifestyle clients and just enjoying balance, and just talking about like what we do as well. So that's the thing. It's like you go through those phases, those cut and build phases. So it's not always just dieting 24/7. It definitely should not be, as we know. You know, we don't want to be dieting for 365 days a year. That's the worst thing you can do. As general rule of thumb that we like to say is we want to be spending more time of the year outside of a diet and outside of a deficit, so aka in a maintenance or surplus. So what that can even like look like for us, for example, as coaches, as you said, you've got the habits challenge in. For me, you know, I'm always, you know, going through my phases of bulking and cutting. The same thing. It's like those non-negotiable habits will always stay in place of, okay, I'm always going to be training. I'm always going to make sure I get my steps in. Yes, that might change in terms of how many steps it is, or, you know, if I am doing cardio, but it's like, it's still those same like habits are always in there regardless. But going through those phases, and then that's when you can decide with your coach about how many weeks that you're going to be spending in each, is obviously what you can work with your coach. But I think having those goals and that timeline is so important, and say, okay, we're going to do this cut for like 12 weeks or 15 weeks, 8 weeks, however long.
Yep.
Maybe run diet breaks. then from there, then of course we'll focus on the reverse diet. So even though it's still a balance, they still have their set phases as well.
Yeah,
So
there's times to be stricter and then times to be a bit more relaxed, right?
yeah.
100%. So you like the deficit phases, you want to be that more obviously spot on because you don't want to be in it for as long.
Let's get it over and done with.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why the phases are so important in terms of letting people know like how long roughly they might be in this, because you want to maximize that phase.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want it to let it all of a sudden, which can happen because if someone's not adherent, it ends up dragging out a little bit, and you're just like, come on. Let's just get this done. But yeah, if you have that phase in place, it's like, hey, look, we've got 6 weeks, for example, to maximize this dieting phase. Let's do it. You know?
Yeah.
And I always try plan in advance. I always ask them like, okay, so he got sort of much coming up. For example, if there's like 2 weddings or something like that in the middle of it, it's like probably not the best time to do it. You know, we can either do it just beforehand or even just afterwards. But like, I don't want you going away to the wedding and then just like, like for example, like most of the food there is like you can't really prepare for it and that sort of thing as well. So I want you to be able to enjoy yourself. If you want to have a couple of drinks, you can, that sort of thing. But not optimal to run through a deficit because then you're gonna have to restrict yourself. So again, it's just all about like from a lifestyle approach, it's all just about taking it into account that way. And it's just like, are you going to be enjoying yourself as much as you can if you were to like diet through it or not do that? And if someone was content and just go, hey, look, I don't drink, I'm more than happy not to eat there or whatever. I'm just like, cool, okay, let's do it. But again, it's all individualized.
Yeah, 100%. Individualized, still balanced, but also having those set phases, which is
so important.
Yeah, having those set goals. And like the weddings are always something that we were always working towards. Like even if it's just other people's weddings that people are trying to look good for.
Yeah, exactly.
Or photo shoots are a good one as well. Birthdays, holidays, that generally like the things that we could try and work towards as well. So
because we all want to look good for those things. You can look good for summer and the hotter months. We're going to the beach and that sort of thing too. Like everyone wants to be like, as much as obviously again, like the main goal is just making sure you're as healthy as you possibly can. But like we all want to look good for certain events. What I mean? Like no one wants to look bad.
Yeah.
No one ever says that. So it's like our main goal as coaches is to make sure someone's as healthy as possible, but then reaching those specific physique goals that they're after as well.
Yeah.
So performance goals.
And something I always like to say is, if you can't see yourself doing a particular diet for, more than 5 months or more than 5 years, like don't even spend 5 minutes doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely true. But then it's also, you look at it the way it's like, okay, well, temporarily it's okay if something is a little bit unsustainable to get to where you need to be for a particular event. Yeah. So yes, the overall approach needs to be sustainable, but if there's periods of time where it might be a little bit unsustainable, ultimately, because it's a short-term thing and you're dieting hard for that, that's fine. You can diet hard for a particular event and just for that event as well. Like that's okay as well. I think some people think, I wouldn't ever want anyone to take what we say of like, if you can't stick to it at all, don't even bother. Because yes, we do say that, but also like that's for the overall approach. But for the most part, it's like bodybuilding. It's not sustainable at all. It's just for that one time. It's okay to do something that's super unsustainable for a period of time. But like same as even if it's not contest prep, but if it's a birthday, if I want to get shredded for my birthday, even though that's not necessarily sustainable, it's going to be harder work, but like I'm happy to do that because I do want to be that little bit leaner for that particular event.
Yeah. I'm more inclined to aggressive diet people these days. Depends on where they are though. Like if they are like full of energy, everything's going well, like they're like this sort of spot on, they just want to lose a certain amount over 4 weeks. I'm like, yeah, for sure. We can put you in more than 30% deficit to 40% deficit or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that period is not a long enough time for you to be at risk of losing muscle mass or that sort of thing. So that's where we're like, okay, like I'm more than happy to do that. But if you're in a massive deficit for an extended period of time, it's a different story. Yeah, 100%.
Which is what a lot of people go wrong, and then they get annoyed because they can't sustain it, and then they fall off track and they put even more of the weight on, and then in the first place. So once again, just coach's guidance. I'm sorry, but you cannot beat it. Like if you've never had a coach before, like you don't know how good it is.
Exactly. I know, and that's the whole reason we're doing this too. It's like we've had coaches and go like, I want to be that person. Like that's helping me through this.
Yeah, 100%. And same thing. It's like we always say like ultimately our goal is to like make ourselves redundant as a coach because you can think, okay, well, coaching isn't necessarily a lifestyle thing. Honestly, it kind of is. Like, you might have periods of time where you can be okay for the most part, but like still to have that coach's guidance, even as experts as ourselves, having each other, so beneficial. Like you can know what you want to do, but to have those set phases and to have someone to reel you back in, like there's nothing that's more powerful than having that coach's eye, that second set of eyes that's that doesn't have like that bias, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I didn't have you, I'd just be like, yep, 1,000 calories, let's go.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. It is.
Not lean enough, Sean.
we all make silly decisions when we're looking at our own physique. Hey, it's like
100%.
when I'm looking after someone else, all good. But then as soon as obviously all of a sudden you're looking at your own, you can make those dumb decisions sometimes where it's like you need.
I only lost half a kilo this week.
You need someone else to just go, and that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Every contest prep client ever to me, it's like, I only lost half a kilo. I'm like, you're good, babe.
Yeah, it's fine. Just trust in the process. We're all good.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Amazing. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on at all?
No, that was mainly in regards to the lifestyle approach. It's just the simple things I said at the start. Enjoy your training, train for strength, train to be strong, train to be fit, and eat to sort of fuel your training, and eat to fuel your day-to-day activities, and just enjoy the process. And if you're not enjoying the process, then talk to your coach and let's change some things around, because something's obviously not working there and you're not going to be able to sustain it long term. So that's the few things I take there. And then obviously with the habit side of things I'm doing as well, incorporate a few daily habits that are achievable, tick them off on a daily basis, and you're going to have a very successful fitness journey.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it's about. It's a journey at the end of the day, not just a 8-week I want to lose weight and that's it.
Yeah.
So far from that. And there's so much more to accomplish in the journey, and just enjoying it, because it'll go by so much quicker than what you realize as well. So many clients will join us and think, okay, I just want to do 8 weeks and that's it. And then they make a minute they've been with us for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you find the enjoyment in the journey, which is so important. But yeah, that's everything that I wanted to touch on. I think that gives the audience a really good insight in terms of just like the fitness journey as a whole, what coaching can look like, incorporating balance, and still having those phases and those periods of time where it might not necessarily be balanced, but overall it's still balanced because you've still got that time, So definitely. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
100%.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you so much, guys.
The Absolute Podcast.